So how does a company like GeneCapsule really know if it's succeeding? It's about more than just the bottom line. It's about using this powerful tool called an ESG accounting framework, which honestly helps us see the much bigger, more important picture. Sounds like a simple question, right? But for decades, the answer was just as simple: profit. That was it. But you have to ask yourself, does that one number really truly capture a company's impact on the world? We don't think so.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start by looking beyond that traditional bottom line. Then we'll get into what our ESG framework is all about. And finally, we'll break down each of its three pillars: environmental, social, and governance. Okay, so let's dive right in. Why do we even need a new scorecard in the first place? Well, to put it simply, the world is changing, and what we expect from businesses is changing right along with it. You can really see the difference here. The old way of thinking was super narrow, right? It was all about short-term profit for shareholders. The new, holistic view, well, it's so much bigger. It looks at what's called the triple bottom line. That's profit, people, and planet. It's all about creating long-term value and, crucially, building trust with everyone involved.
So how do you put that bigger view into practice? That's where our ESG accountability framework comes in. I love this way of thinking about it. It's like a nutritional label for the company. It gives you a clear, honest look at our overall health, not just one single ingredient.
At its heart, the ESG framework is a structured system. See, this isn't about fuzzy feelings or good intentions. It is a formal, disciplined process for measuring how we're doing in these three key areas, and most importantly, for holding ourselves accountable.
And how does it work? Well, it's actually a pretty straightforward three-step cycle. First, we figure out what really matters for our business and our stakeholders. Second, we measure it with real, hard data. And third, we report on it, the good and the bad. This whole cycle just keeps pushing us to learn and get better. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with our first pillar, environmental stewardship. This is all about recognizing that we have a footprint on this planet and we need to actively manage it.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The work we do is meant to heal people, but that mission is totally intertwined with the health of the planet we all live on. You can't really have one without the other.
And to make this real, we have to track very specific things. We're talking about our carbon footprint, how much water we use, how much waste we're creating, and even making sure our suppliers are being sustainable too. And we set big, audacious goals. For instance, we're aiming to cut our total waste by 30% by the year 2030. It's a clear, measurable promise to do our part and just be a more responsible business. Okay, next up is the S in ESG, and that stands for social responsibility. This pillar is all about people, our incredible employees, the patients we serve, and the communities where we live and work. This is just so true. Scientific breakthroughs don't just appear out of thin air. They come from brilliant, passionate people. So, creating a place where everyone feels supported and included, that's not just a nice to have, it's a business imperative.
So, what do we measure? Well, we look at the health and safety of our teams. We track our progress on diversity and inclusion. We measure our investments in the community. And, this is a huge one, we look at how we can make our treatments more accessible and affordable for patients.
And here's a really concrete example. One of our key goals is to have at least 45% of our leadership roles filled by women. We do this because we know for a fact that having different voices and perspectives at the table leads to smarter decisions and better innovation. Simple as that. And that brings us to our final pillar, the G, for governance. Honestly, you can think of this as the foundation that holds the other two up. It's all about how the company is run, how it's managed, and how we're all held accountable.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to trust, doesn't it? The trust of our investors, our employees, and of course, our patients. And you don't just get that trust, you have to earn it, every single day, by acting with integrity.
The way we earn it is through concrete actions, making sure our board is independent and diverse, requiring strong ethics training for everyone, locking down data privacy and security, and just being radically transparent with our shareholders.
Check this out. 85% of our board of directors are independent. Now that might sound a little technical, but it's a huge deal. It means they're not part of the company's day-to-day management, so they can provide truly objective oversight and make sure we're staying on track.
So when you pull it all together, you can see how this all connects back to our main mission. Taking care of the planet is essential for human health. Building an inclusive culture is what drives breakthrough science.
And operating with integrity is what builds the trust that makes it all possible. It's all connected.
Look, this framework is so much more than just ticking boxes for a report. It's a commitment to a better, more responsible way of doing business. And it leaves you with a really powerful question to think about. If every single company measured its real impact, just imagine the kind of world we could build together. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.